Hey, what's up, guys? We are back at the review. We're going to jump right into it because, man, there's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a long video otherwise. And we'll start off with Aramare. It's a 4/5 for one wind, which, if you didn't know, this is the highest stat block of any one drop in the game currently. 4/5 is a total of 9 stats. The only thing that comes close is baseline is Rummagem. Um, so when you ascend this Airmare, you can cast it as an artifact, empowering the Ascension. With the effect, the empowered Celestial cannot be targeted or destroyed by an opponent's Celestial effect. That's pretty good. Um, this will see play. I'm pretty sure it will see play just because at 4/5, like if this was 4/5 no text, which it almost is, it was seeing some play. And now that its ability got buffed to not just focus on Glidesdale, it's even better. Um, Play this with Island of Aeolia, maybe. If you try to do like a wind stadium deck, you'll play a bunch of these. I think it's a solid card. It's not a great card, but if you are really trying to go for those 2-drop ascensions that you want to protect in wind, this will do it for you. This strong card that way. After Airmare, we have Glidesdale, which combos with the Airmare. It's a 7/5 for 2. You can expend 1 wind in order to give this Glidesdale 5 attack. Until the end phase, as long as Glidesdale is empowered by an Airmare, it can attack twice each battle. So, put it together, you get a 7/5 that cannot be destroyed by or targeted by. I already forgot what the Airmare did, but it's a 7/5 that gets protected. And I already closed that tab, so can't even pull Airmare back up. 7/5 that gets protection and attacks twice, and can go to 12 attack if need be to attack twice into things. It's nice that it still does pretty much everything it can without Airmare. And if you combine it with Airmare, it's huge. It's a build your own boss celestial. It's a nice little change to it. And I think it's a strong card. Will it see a ton of play in Wind? I don't know, because Wind has some really strong things to get into on 2 and 3 that don't care about the 2 spot that much. So going into that, we'll go to Nimbug to 1/1 for 1. As it always has been, you can expend 1 win to special send Nimbug to Syracuse from your hand deck. That's all it does. And you almost never play this without using its ability, so we're just going to jump right to Syracuse, which got a slight stat change and a slight text buff. It's a 1/6 for 2. During your draw phase, you can expend 1 wind. When you do, you special send Syracuse to Stratamoth from your hand or deck. So it lost a defense point, but it's now cheaper to get Stratamoth. Stratamoth got buffed. So because Stratamoth got buffed, this card got a little nerfed and a little buffed. And just like I said with Glidesdale a second ago, we don't care about Glidesdale as our 2 spot because we're generally using our 2s to go into our 3s in some way, and Glidesdale doesn't fit in that, which is what makes Glidesdale a little clunky to use. So we're going into our Stratamoth. Stratamoth got an attack nerf, but an ability buff huge. So it's a 9/5 for 3, and it still gets +1 attack for every Nimbug or Syracuse on your field or in your underworld. So it's generally going to be an 11 attack, which is okay. But you can expend a wind and return each rune on your opponent's field to the hand now. It's not just one, it's not just tornado effect, it's super tornado effect, which is really nice. So if your opponent's playing a rune heavy deck, you just say, okay, board's cleared, attack over, whatever you got. So they'll never be able to answer this appropriately with a counter rune. They'll have to have proactive removal like Boombat, Kinleo, Earthquake, etc. I think the attack nerf was worth the ability buff. It's a really strong ability, and your win deck is either doing your Stratamoth stuff or Pantera stuff. Maybe you run a little bit of both, but you're mostly probably you're playing wind control. You're going Stratamoth. You're going wind aggro. You're going Pantera. That's just how it goes. All right, P-Gust now. P-Gust. This is kind of like our Boombat of wind for runes. So we play it down, we destroy a rune. The best part about this, though, is it's repeatable if you can Nexus, and it stays on the board, so it doesn't destroy itself to destroy a rune, which is a really beneficial thing. Its stats are terrible. It's going to die on the swing back, but if you don't have it die on the swing back, well, you just destroyed honestly, destroying their Shield of Achilles for your P-Gust and losing P-Gust right away, very worth it. P-Gust gets rid of a lot of problem cards for you. Good card. A lot of decks splash it because it is the most efficient destroy rune effect, where Tornado is another 1-cost deal with a rune, but it bounces it, so it goes back to hand, so they can just replay it. And Thunderstorm costs 2. So a lot of people splash P-Gust 1 or 2 of just for that cheap destruction effect, which makes P-Gust a very, very strong card. And the more runes we see, the stronger P-Gust will be. Moving into Big Boy P-Gust, got Falacane. Falacane is the 2-drop and win that you will probably go into that's not Sirikun or the Pantera line's Twindra. So it's a 7/3 for 2. You can expend 1 win to destroy all the runes on the board, including yours, or you can spend 2 win to destroy all the runes in your opponent's field. So this is a buffed up Stratamoth ability with a smaller body and a more expensive cost but bigger effect. So if you're not running a lot of runes on your board at the moment, you just spend the 1 and you just, for super cheap, destroy everything. This is the only board wipe in the game and it only hits runes. A very good card. I do run this card in all the win decks I've played, at least as one of them in the main board, if not some more in the sideboard. It can do a lot of work. You get it out and your opponent's playing a control deck, they're going to be really sad. So this is a very good card. It's great against any counter focus deck. Any deck that runs a lot of counter runes, you just go goodbye back row. What deck do you put this in? Yeah, that's a hard part. You put it in your Shadowmoth deck, I guess, but then Shadowmoth does enough on its own. You could put it in your Twindra deck, but then Pantera wants to get destroyed by, like, Poison Tipped. I don't know. It's got a weird spot where it doesn't have a home right now, but man, the effect is so good, so you do still play it, even though it's clunky to get out and use. But man, that ability is so strong. Moving in, Charlotte, probably one of the best attackers on one. This and Necrof are both just flat 5, but the best part about this card is you can expend 1 to put something in defense or put it back into attack. And now you can attack it with Sorlet. So Sorlet usually just says, okay, I'm going to switch you to your lowest stat and attack into you. Your Mestation's in defense, your Mestation's in attack now with 1 attack. You know, your Leonite's in attack, it's in defense now, it can use by Invoke Runes. Your Sonic Core's in attack, I'm going to put it in defense. This answers a lot of things really efficiently. It deals with a lot of 2s really efficiently. Very, very good card. It sees play in basically any attack deck as a 1 or 2 of, even if you have to splash for it, like to put 2 wind in it to get some Sorlets out. A lot of people do, well, they're going to want to run more 2 wind, so you can expend out of it. But it does a lot of work. It does a lot of work if it's text on board. It does a lot of work if it just trades. It'll do anything combat-wise you generally need it to do. Maybe you run it in like a Vertakwa, Tsunami, Altar deck for another tap. It's like defense tapping thing. It's a good card. I like it. Everyone likes this card. No one says this is a bad card, if that helps you. I've never seen anyone go, Sorlet, oh man, that card's not that great. It's a great card. Chrysor is Sorlet's ascended form. 8/4. 8's a good attack stat. 8's a pretty strong attack stat on 2. Generally 7 is the good. 8 is great. And this card can attack your opponent's spirit deck directly. Why can it do that? I guess it flies over everything, but it doesn't need to attack directly, but it will. And when it does, you get 2 win back from your Underworld to your spirit deck. So that win that you use for your Sorlet ability, you get that back. The win that you use for your Falacane's ability, you can get that back. The win that you use summon your Stratamoth out, you can get that back. So maybe, I don't know. Again, this kind of with the Falacane conundrum is like, where do I run this? Maybe you run a deck without your 3-drops and you do like a Falacane Chrysor control-y weird thing. I don't know. But Chrysor, it's a good card. It's just in wind. I don't know what you do with this. It's hard to figure out exactly what you want to do with this wind. Though this is wind's only element-specific return mechanic. So Earth gets Scythe, Chrysor gets, or Wind gets Scythe, Wind gets Chrysor. You get your Aeolus Spirits back. I don't know. It's hard to find a home for it, but this card is good. It will see some play. I just don't know what home it's going to fall into. Carryon right now. Okay, Carryon's a really fun card. I want to do so much with Carryon. Okay, so the 3/3 for 1, which miss stats. When this Carryon is destroyed in battle, you can target an Celestial that destroyed it. Then take control of that Celestial and move it to your Celestial row until end of the phase. Or until your end phase. So what do you do with this? You attack into like the Blazarus to use their Blazarus to attack them twice back. That's an idea. You steal their, I don't know, Japlantis to attack their defense position. No. What you do with this card is you play with Altar of the Stars or any other counter runes that you can activate on your turn. Because, like Charon's Obol, if you remember that from the review of the neutral cards, like the best use of this card, in my opinion, is the Charon's Obol, where you crash into something, crash their thing into something, draw a bunch of cards. And the second best use is you play Altar of the Stars. Play that first. Turn passes over back to you, so now you can activate it on your turn. You steal their thing with Charon's Obol, or not Charon, with Carryon. You flip your Altar of the Stars and go, I'm going to Nexus Spirit off your thing that I just stole and go put it on something random on my board, destroying your Elestral in the process and stealing your spirit from my board presence. So now I have your spirit on my board permanently, and I just destroyed your Elestral. That's really cool. Will that be good enough? I don't know, and I don't think so. But if we get more support down the line, Carryon will just see some weird fringe combo play. I really think so. It's such a fun card. I think you can do a lot of really fun things with it. I'm going to try to make a deck around it that makes it work. We'll see where that goes. But I think Carryon is a card that, for now, you can sleep on it. Maybe in a few sets or down the line, it'll do something cool. Right now, it does something cool, but it's really hard to set up. So, yeah. Pelquarius now. 3/4 for 1 wind. Normal cast Pelquarius. You can search your deck for an Celestial with enchantment cost 1 water added to your hand. This card got buffed from 2/3 to 3/4. It is still basically useless. Water Wind, I fiddled around with it. This card is nowhere in my Water Wind deck. It's not a great card because its stats are kind of low. The stat buff is nice, but you look at something like Small Tuga at 2/5. Small Tuga at least has 5. This is 3/4. It's not going to see play. I don't see this seeing play unless you really want to consistently get those foamies out. I don't see this seeing a ton of play, maybe a 1 or 2 of in a water focused deck as the splash like the prototype deck had, but on that, I'm gonna see a ton of play. Exalt Tear now. A 3/2 for 1, which is a nerf to its stats. Nexus 2 wind. When you do, an opponent expends 2. So you up to 2 wind, expend 2. Does the thing it's always done. Summer Winds, Johnny's deck. The super great burn card. You can search it up with Aeolus. As another thing to mention, all these 1-drops you can search out really easily with Aeolus, which makes them really toolboxy and good. The nerf doesn't change what it does, but does allow you to respond to this card better, which I think is fine. Nexus to expend 2 is a fine spot for this to be. Now that Aeolus costs 2 when you pull this out, it's a little bit more expensive to do the Aeolus Exaltair stuff. And it's a little bit more difficult to go crazy combo with it because of the Aeolus nerf. And the stat lets you at least answer it better. So I think it's a good nerf. Was it needed? Yes. How to nerf it is a attack stat nerf what it needed. I also think, yes, some people said that it should be expend 1, but then it'd be way too weak. So I think at expend 2 and a lower stat line, it's a balanced card now. And it's always been a fairly balanced card. It's just all the other cards around it make it really strong. So giving a little bit of a nerf just to kind of set it in line without nerfing a bunch of other cards, I think is good. Now Aeolus. Aeolus is the only Divine Rune you can enchant up to 4 wind to. And it's the only Divine Rune that you have to disenchant 2 for its ability, because when it was disenchant 1 for its ability, this card was basically a 4-cost, like, draw 4, or not even draw 4, search for 4 cards that answer your perfect situation. So in Wind, the 1-drops we have access to, that this searches for: Pigus to stop runes, Sorlet to answer attacking threats, Exaltair to go into a combo finisher to Nexus off Aeolus to do a bunch of damage. I mean, you get Carryon, which is okay. Airmare's a solid 4/5 stat block. You can get your Nimbug to start the Nimbug combo to Sirikun. You could get your Hydrake to go into your Twindra to your Pantera potentially. Wind is such a toolbox because it has so many different wide swathing effects on its ones that this card was a problem. I can guarantee you that if this cost 1 disenchant, it would be banned. The very first card to ever be banned would be this card because it would do so much. Now that costs 2 to get it 1-drop, and then you have to play the 1-drop, but that 1-drop can do basically anything because Wind has so many varying effects for their ones. It's really strong already, and this card will still get even stronger as you get more and more 1-drop wins in future sets. So this card still might be too strong. It's still strong, and it will continue to be strong. It is a great card. I guarantee if you're not seeing it, I just play against it a few times and it will do a lot of work. With this nerf, it's going to be harder to do that work. But at worst case scenario, this is at worst, this card is 2 wind. Search your deck for a 1 wind without losing your Celestial cast for the turn. So you go find that P-Gus for that problem rune. Go find that Sorlet to go deal with the problem Celestial. You go find that Aramare to be a tempo play. You go find that Nimbo to start a combo. You go find that Hydrake to start a combo. You go find that Carryon for a combo. It just sets up so much, which makes it really strong. It is an S tier card still. Before the nerf, it was like a triple S card. It was so strong, so oppressive. Moving on, Bag of Winds. 2 wind artifact. When the Power Celestial gets +2 defense, cannot be targeted by an opponent's rune. That's pretty good. Targeting by runes isn't going to stop too much, except like Poison Tipped Arrow. Not even that, can't change it. It's going to stop Earthquake. Effectively stops Earthquake. And Outside the Stars now, a couple small minor things, but it'll stop rune targets, which is okay. And if you have an Aelus Enchanted and you destroy an Celestial in battle with the Empowered Celestial, you destroy a rune as well. It's only good for that can't be targeted by rune effect. Everything else is like mediocre. Like destroying runes is cool, but you need Aeolus out. Aeolus is great, yes, but Bag of Winds doesn't give an attack boost, so you're not going to be able to swing over things easily. It's an Identity Crisis card with a good effect. So if you're playing this card, you're playing it to stop runes from being targeted, and maybe as an Exaltair finishing a bank for, Exaltair to pull some Nexus Spirits off to hit your opponent directly for 2 and then attack for another 3. It's an okay card. Tornado, great efficient answer to runes. The 1-cost wind. Destroy a rune in your opponent's field, or target a rune in your opponent's field. Don't destroy it, you bounce it. This is great at dealing with any kind of Nexus bank, with, opponent has, any Divine Rune out. And it's good at disrupting artifacts because they'll lose the spirits from that. And it's okay at, if you really need to open up the board, you run some tornadoes for cheap, efficient ways to open up the board to get, like, maybe your Imperial out, maybe, I wouldn't say Stratomoth out, because Stratomoth kind of bounced it out, but you open up the board so that you can get Poison Tipped or something, or you can't get P-Box and you're trying to go for a search combo or something. And the fact that it costs 1 is really good. It's really efficient. I do play this in a lot of my win decks. I think it's underrated because it doesn't destroy runes. I know Dan thinks highly of this card. I think highly of this card, but I play a lot of Thunder, so I just run Thunderstorm usually. Play this card if you're like really struggling to deal with runes, and I guarantee it will help you. This plus P-Gus in the same turn will do a lot of work for you to just open up the opponent's board state. Try this card. I guarantee you will like this card. It'll do some help for you if you play it right. At worst, it'll open the board for 1 turn, which is sometimes all you need to win a game. Iolia is probably the 3rd most played stadium because Aramare and stuff or some weird shenanigans, getting Sorlet to 6 attack, stuff like that. It does all the stadium things. I'm not going to sit on stadiums again. They do stadium things, And the last 3 cards, we have a 4/1 for 1 wind. When it's destroyed in battle, you can special cast a Twindra from your hand or deck and attack position. So usually you're going to play this, crash it into your opponent's Celestial, play your Twindra, crash into your opponent's Celestial, maybe, and then get your Pantera out right away with Twindra. So Hydrake, Twindra, both the same thing. So this is a 4/1 for 1. Twindra is a 5/2 or 5/4 for 2, and destroys in battle with special cast Pantera from your hand to deck. It's great with Charon's Obel. You're destroying them, you're drawing some cards. It is expensive. If you let your opponent run into you, that's cool too. And sometimes having a Twindra on board in attack position, your opponent will just go, oh, I'm not attacking that right now. I can't deal with the Pantera. I don't want to attack your Twindra. Play everything in defense. So you can't crash your Twindra. And then your opponent, and then you playing Twindra, just okay, my Twindra's in attack position, you have all your stuff in defense position. Let me set up other stuff in preparation of getting either Pantera out or stuff that you still can't deal with because you don't want me to get Pantera out. So Twindra makes a, and the whole Pantera line is a huge mind gamey just line of like, do you destroy Twindra? Do you let it sit and play? Does your opponent destroy it? Can you get time to set up other stuff? Makes it a very mind gamey kind of thing, but it also can be very aggressive and explosive because she takes a Pantera out. 15-8, highest baseline attack stat in the game. When this is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special cast any number of Hydrake or Twindra from your hand or deck into attack position. So, the only thing that attacks over this generally will be an Imperial. So when you play this 15-8, it's not going to attack over. When it's destroyed by an effect, you'll just special cast some extra card. Like, you just choose if you want one or two Twindras, Hydras out. You know, just fill your board up with whatever you might need to win the game after this thing gets destroyed. This thing gets destroyed by Boom Bat or Earthquake or whatnot. You just go, okay, cool. Here's some more cards into play. Cool, you attack my Twindra because I put 2 Twindras into play. Let me get a Pantera out again and attack back. It's very expensive, so you really need to get Ambrosias in your deck. But it does some work, and you could play a bunch of Mission Enchanted Spirits on your Twindras and Hydreigs when they come into play if you just want to fill your board up and you don't have the win to do it. This is a good card. Again, it's mostly a good card because of what your opponent has to think about when they go to get rid of it, or you are getting set up to deal with it. It's a very mind gaming card. It's, you know, it's easy to just go Hydrate Crash, Twindra Crash, Pantera into play, ha ha ha. But that's the worst way to play Pantera. The best way to play Pantera is to force your opponent to figure out how to deal with the Pantera before you get Pantera on the board. And while they're figuring that out, you build your board up in another way so that you have multiple threats in play. Or just the idea of multiple threats in play. And that's the last of the cards for the wind. And we got one more element to go. I appreciate you guys sticking out. If you're here this long, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, go subscribe to all the other content creators. Comment what I got wrong. Comment what you don't hate. Again, Johnny, if you got to this point in the video, I know what your opinion on this card is, and we had a conversation about it. You don't have to repeat yourself, but you can because other people might read it. But yeah, I'm watching you, Johnny. Disagreeing with me all the time. Anyway, the rest of you guys, have a great day. I appreciate all you for sticking around. Peace.